Okay, so what we're going to cover off next, this next video, is going to cover off trying to manage interruptions. Now, before I go any further, I am going to say again, and I'm going to reiterate, for those of you with young children working from home, having to do homeschooling, having to sit down with 3 or 4 children round a table and try and do your own work, try and keep everything going, really, your life is just going to be full of interruptions with the children, and that's where we're at, and you can do nothing about that. We can only control the controllable. So, reality is that you will have interruptions, but you may be able to handle them in a slightly different way if there may be bits in here that may be able to help you. So why are we covering this? Well, if you think back to the very first video, and it spoke about a thing called POIC, which was planning, organising, implementing and controlling. And planning is all about working your plan and putting a to-do list together. Organising then is all about kind of looking at the priorities, which we covered, the important and urgent, the red zone, all of them things. Then the implementation is all about booking appointments with your tasks. And then the controlling, the C for controlling, is trying to get them tasks done with as minimal interruptions as you possibly can. And again, I am going to reiterate, children, look, hands up, I haven't got the answer. I wish I had, but I really haven't. And so we just have to do our best in these situations. But anyway, what can we do? And I suppose the first thing we need to do is look at what are the common time thieves. And time thieves are things that take away our time. So what are they? And some of the most common time thieves, probably for most of us, would be things like colleagues. The telephone is a time thief. Email is a massive time thief. Your boss can be a time thief, meetings, and things called must-tells. And then what I find time and time again is people always say, oh, well, another time thief is always IT. The internet goes down, or there's an issue or something like that. So these are all very, very common time thieves for most people in business. And they don't really change that much even when you're working from home. They are very, very similar. Yes, you don't have your colleague coming up to your desk, I understand that, but you possibly will have phone calls and things like that from your colleague. So let's have a look at some of these things. What can you do with them? What are the key things that we can do to try and manage them? The first thing we need to do is try and establish what is the reason for the interruption. The second thing, how long will it take? The third question you need to be asking yourself is, should you be handling it now? Can you put it off to later and defer it and say, look, I'm up to my eyes at the moment, but I will get back to you on it or whatever? Or should it even be your situation to resolve at all? There's a thing in management called the monkey on the back, and that is, is it even your job to deal with this, or is it somebody else? Also, if it is somebody coming into your room, you can use body language. You can look at your watch. You can look at all things like that to say, look, I've only got a minute or two. Yes, that's fine. But if it goes over a minute, then I have to kind of maybe put it off for another time. And always remember, you can only control the controllable. Whatever it is, you can only control the things that you can control. So again, going back to areas such as, children and things like that, you cannot, it's very, very difficult to manage those situations, during the COVID-19 situation anyway. But the key thing is, how can we limit the damage and how can we end the interruption and get back to work as quickly as possible? So it is important to look and say, well, okay, are there things we can do? Well, the likes of email, definitely there's things we can do. The likes of telephone, definitely there's things we can do. There is nothing to say that we just cannot, put the phone on silent for an hour or so while we're trying to get something done. For the likes of the must-tells, that's down to us. A must-tell, by the way, for those that don't know it, is where you think of something in your head and you say, oh God, I must tell John that, and you immediately pick up the phone. And what you've got to remember is when you're doing that with John, you are not only probably possibly wasting your time, but you're also taking time off John. In fact, a lot of companies now are giving specific times in the day where people can contact, particularly when they're trying to work from home, to keep things as productive as possible. So in other words, between the hours of 11 and 12, anybody can contact. But after that, no. Or between the hours of 3 and 4, or so many times a day and everything like that. And talking about so many times a day, another thing that's really important is the email management. And the one thing I'm going to say to you on email management is the first thing you need to do if you're trying to find time during the day to get these tasks done is to turn the automatic responder off on your email, because curiosity kills the cat. And when something comes up that says ding dong, new email, we automatically stop what we're doing and we look on it. Now, just think of it this way. We have done our to-do list. We prioritise. We've decided this is the most important thing we can do. And all of a sudden an email comes in and bang, we're gone. And the problem with going is it's the time that it takes to come back to it. So what we really should be doing is checking our emails at so many times a day when we are ready to deal with them. Whether it be 3 times a day, 4 times a day, 5 times a day, doesn't matter the times, but checking them when we're ready to deal with them instead of responding at each time. So it really is important that we try and manage these interruptions. The other thing which is a time thief is meetings. And we need to make sure that when we have meetings, that the meetings are done properly. That, you know, everybody's time is really, really important at the moment, and none more so than those that are working from home and trying to get things done, and it's all unique. So, and you know, I mentioned as well, the meeting situation is really important. So I am going to kind of cover that off in a video when we talk about kind of management and working from home. We'll be talking, I know I mentioned earlier, we'll do delegation, but we'll also cover off how do you run effective meetings, because they're really, really important. Because, you know, it goes back to the old story, meetings are where minutes are taken and hours are wasted. And we can't afford to do that now that we're working from home in this situation. And somebody said to me years ago about emails, by the way, they said there's only 4 things you can do with an email. So, you know, can you do it? Can you defer it? Can you delegate it? Or can you delete it? We either have to manage our emails or they'll manage us. And if we had the if we had the responder on all day, that every time a new email comes in, the auto alert or whatever it is, we're going to be reacting every time an email comes in. And it's not really the time it takes to read the email, it's the whole time that it takes to get back to where you were before you open that email. So it's really important that we try and manage these things. The next video that will be coming up will be one talking about trying to find quiet time. I know, again, it's not easy to do that, but we need to try and do that. So we need to establish who are the time thieves, what are they, and what can we do about them. Anyway, for now, that's all I'm going to close off with for now on this one. And the next video we'll be talking about trying to find quiet time and the importance of quiet time. So again, please tune into other videos and feel free to share this. Stay safe.